Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, February 19th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. First up, please subscribe and like the video, and share it with your friends. Lot to discuss. There's tons and tons of confusion around Google Passage ranking, Google Passage bench ranking. I'm going to hopefully clarify some of that, so the beginning of the video will be significantly about that. There was a possible Google Unconfirmed update on February 17th of this week. Google Ads changed the default ad type to responsive search ads. Google Maps, tremendous amount of spam efforts in 2020, and so much more. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so we discussed passage ranking. It was announced back in October of last year or so, and then it was supposed to launch by the end of last year. It didn't. It launched a week ago or so on February 10th in the afternoon. It did not do a global launch. It launched in the US English results only. It was supposed to affect 7% of search queries globally, and it just launched in the US and English. Now, that being said, there's a lot of confusion around timing of this update. Forget about the confusion around, is it indexing, is it ranking? It's ranking, obviously. And forget about the confusion that we talked about last week about could you see these results or not? And you cannot see them. They're just ranking factors. It's not about, the snippets won't look any different. We covered all that last week. What we're gonna cover now is, did SEO see this roll out? And I believe not. I got Google to confirm that. Again, this launched on February 10th in the afternoon Pacific time. So if you're in New York like me, it launched February 10th at night. And then it finished rolling out Monday, February 15th. Now, if you look at all the different chatter in the SEO forums and you look at all the different tools that are tracking these algorithm updates and so forth, it was very, very calm between February 10th at night, maybe February 11th, and February 15th. So all those days between it, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, and 15th, it was fairly calm in terms of the volatility and the fluctuations in the Google search results, both in terms of chatter in the SEO community and in terms of the tracking tools that are tracking this. So I think, I even had Glenn Gabe, who tracks this stuff, different SEOs who track this stuff very carefully. Most did not see anything related to significant Google ranking updates between those dates for any of their clients or across any of the niches they track. That being said, maybe again, what Google said previously, that this update won't affect SEOs that much or very popular websites very much. It's about Google trying to find content that isn't well optimized and really long content, and maybe that's the reason. So again, it doesn't surprise me that that's the case. It's just SEOs think they're seeing it, and one of the reasons they think they're seeing it is because of this scroll to texting, which we covered last week briefly, that if you go to Google Search Console and you use the text fragment to filter search results by those, people are thinking that, oh, that must be passage ranking that's showing up there. It's not. Google has not launched scroll to text features in passage ranking specifically. It works for feature snippets. It works for some product results, but it does not specifically work for passage ranking. And Google's Danny Sullivan said so numerous times, John Mueller and so forth. So I don't think SEOs are seeing it, despite some SEOs saying they are seeing it. On February 17th, so 2 days after the passage-based ranking algorithm finished rolling out, we saw a spike in chatter and in tracking tools spike up as well. And there may have been an unconfirmed update around February 17th. You can see the tools are spiking in this chart over here, and there's definitely a lot of chatter over the past couple days around this update. Google said they may provide a way for SEOs and webmasters and site owners to block their content from showing up in Google Discover, either on a page-by-page basis, a site-wide basis, subfolder basis. Danny Sullivan said there may come a way to do that. They're looking into it, he said. John Mueller did one of the most detailed posts or threads or responses to what are penalties in Google search and so forth. I went through it in detail. I posted about it on February 16th. None of it is really directly new. He did say websites do not get permanently removed from Google. He said that Google does not have a list of permanently blocked sites. Manual actions could completely remove your site for pure spam with nothing useful of its own. So those are the extreme cases if it's really pure spam. Google prefers to ignore parts of your website to neutralize those types of effects like we discussed before. And he went on and on about manual actions, reconsideration requests, and so forth. So also Dan Shore this week posted that he did an experiment where a client of his was ranking well for a topic in Google Discover, and it was generating a lot of traffic. So he's like told the client to write 2 similar stories related to the same topic, different stories exactly, but similar stories, and to see if he could like continue that Discover wave, to continue to ride that wave. And he showed the results you can see here, showing that the 2 other stories really did ride that wave. The question is, in my mind, would the original story have received just as much traffic as all 3 stories, or did he need to create those 2 other stories to continue to ride that wave? That's a very interesting question. I don't think I'll test it out, but I think you guys should let me know if you ever see any results around that. It would be pretty interesting to see that. Google's John Mueller said, "Stop worrying about stop words." Back in the old days, stop words was something that SEOs considered because Google wouldn't understand the stop words. They would just pull it out of their index or just not use it for ranking purposes, not pull it out. They would basically not use it for the ranking purposes. They would ignore those words. Stop words are words like it or in and stuff like that. There was a blog post at SEMrush about like thousands of stop words you should not use and so forth. It was pretty good. It actually covered that Google probably does use stop words these days because of machine learning and artificial intelligence and things like BERT and RankBrain and stuff like that. Google's probably does use these stop words to better understand your phrases. So I'm not sure why we need an article about stop words. You should just write naturally. But it was funny to see stop words come up again. There's this little Google Search Console URL inspection tool, a little hack or trick, where if you want Google to show you a screenshot in the URL inspection tool of not just the top of the page, but also of the middle of the page or bottom of the page, you could, if you have anchors in those pages, like anchor down jump links in these pages, you could actually use the anchor down link in Google Search Console's URL inspection tool, and that will anchor Google Search Console down to that section and take a screenshot from that section down, which is pretty cool. Nice little trick there if you do want to see what Google sees to a portion of the page. Google Search Console also announced this week that they updated the boundaries for the Core Web Vitals LCP, FIDs, and CLS. So they used to be just less than values, so less than this mark. Now they're actually equal to and less than, so you have a better chance of performing better because of the equal to and less than versus just the less than metric. And here's a screenshot of those boundaries if you want to see what they are. Lily Ray ran a poll asking SEOs, does she think the Core Web Vitals, I think she meant page experience update, will that be a big, significant update? And the poll asked, how much of impact do you think Core Web Vitals will have on organic rankings? And you can see from this chart, most think it's not going to have a big impact, like 34% not a big impact, 48% said somewhat of an impact, and then about 18% said it will be a major impact. I doubt it'll be a major impact. I don't think it'll even be a big, I think it'll be a minor impact, but that's my opinion and we'll see what happens. Google can process JavaScript redirects, said Gary from Google. He doesn't recommend using it. The Google Webmaster blog had to use it because they had no other choice, and Google's able to pick up on those JavaScript redirects, but he said other search engines cannot. I assume he means Bing, so be careful if you want to use redirects. Try to stick with the 301 redirects if possible. Google is testing a new product search result interface in this web search results, where you basically could click on a product and like swipe through, swipe left, swipe right, and so forth. It's a pretty cool interface. I'll show you a screenshot of that over here. Google Images is testing a feature to click on a compass to explore more image results. It's basically a trigger to trigger a explore more tab or refinement tab, which is pretty cool. Here's a screenshot of that as well. I believe I've seen this in other areas. I'm just not exactly sure. If you have seen it, let me know. It seems Bing Maps has replaced Yelp reviews with Foursquare and Facebook reviews. So instead of showing the Yelp reviews, they show some Yelp information, but not much information, basically just a link to Yelp and their average reviews, but they're not showing the actual reviews. Now they're pulling the actual reviews from Foursquare and from Facebook, which is a big change, I guess. Google My Business is auto-populating services if you don't populate your services in your Google My Business profile based on your website content. So you definitely want to log into your Google My Business profile, click on the info tab, look at the services that they put there, and make sure to validate that their actual services are proper. Google My Business has now added the ability for business owners to respond to Google messages through the messaging platform directly on your desktop. You no longer have to do it from your phone, which is great because spell check's better and it's much faster to type to multiple customers directly on your desktop. So that's a great feature. Google Maps announced some new features this week around search quality and spam. Basically, Google Maps shares some stats, which they do every year, around spam protection. And here's some highlights about how much spam they removed in 2020. They removed 55 million policy violating reviews. They removed 3 million fake business profiles. Google actually said the 55 million was higher last year. It was 20 million more reviews removed, but because of COVID, I guess less reviews are being submitted. Google said they removed 960,000 reviews and 300,000 business profiles that were reported by users. So one was reported by users, one was just automatically removed by Google. 160 million photos were reviewed and removed. 3.5 million videos were removed. Google disabled over 610,000 accounts. 3 million bad attempts were removed, and so forth. It's just a pretty interesting number. Google is filled with spam in the Maps area, but they definitely do make efforts to remove them, as you can see from here. Google Ads has changed the default search ad type to responsive search ads. So responsive search ads launched, I believe, in 2018 as a beta. In 2019, out of October, it rolled out to everybody. And now Google's saying it's going to be the default ad type for all advertisers by default. You can obviously still use the expanded text ads if you want, but responsive search ads will be the default. And Google's touting their machine learning to make that even possible. And finally, Google Search Central team, John Mueller, Gary, Martin Splitt, and along with other people like Danny Sullivan, are hosting the first Google Search Central Live conference of 2021. It's going to be like an hour and a half conference. It starts in New York time, February 23rd, around 7 p.m. at night. It's really focused on the Asian Pacific region, but anybody can register. There's the link on the Search Engine Roundtable blog. You can catch that there. I posted it today on Friday. And it looks pretty interesting. It's going to be an hour and a half. It's going to include a fireside chat with Danny and other people, Cherry from Google and Martin Splitt and Ashley, not from Google, a live technical SEO case study with a non-Googler and a Googler, and a live recording of the Search Off the Record podcast, which should be interesting to watch live, I guess. And that pretty much covers the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. It's the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. As you can see, we got snow. That snow hasn't gone away for a while, but we got more snow yesterday on top of it to make it a little bit whiter and prettier. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Again, today is Friday, February 19th. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe, and see you guys next. Bye-bye.